They keep messing with the fucking settings. I was like, why don't I see the viewers? I'm like, where are the viewers? All right, we're live. We're officially live. As long as the Spaces heard it. If you're listening to Spaces, give yourself a treat and log in and watch the stream. Watch the stream. We got beautiful faces on the stream. Watch the stream. Come on. Come on. Anybody else ever take a cruise before? Anybody else ever take a cruise before? I'm just curious. I'm just wondering. Oh, Nico's throwing hundreds. That means Nico's up right now. That nigga Nico is eating right now. Let's go. Welcome to Web3 Exposed, baby. You are officially locked into the best show on the internet. It's your host, Shanice Best. We've been hosting this show for 3 years. Holy shit. I'm very excited. I'm very hyped. Can you tell? Can you tell? First day back at the gym. First cold plunge in like 9 days. Woo! Woo! Oh, yo. Vegas was awesome. Shout out to everybody that I was able to link up with, meet in Vegas. Me and Will and some other friends had some amazing dinner. Shout out to Girl in the Verse and Guy in the Verse. It was a vibe. It was an absolute vibe. We had an amazing event. That Will was a special guest. That motherfuckers were signing up to get his autograph. That was crazy. I was like, bro, don't bombard my dog. He's a little antisocial. Back up. What else? Oh, we got to see some really big power players talk at the Bitcoin conference. I was literally inhaling Michael Saylor's breath while he was chatting. Same with Ross. It was great. He had a mint in his mouth, so it was good. But no, everything was awesome. Going to the Bitcoin conference since literally inception. I don't think I've ever seen that many people at the conference. I think there was only 30,000 people there, which is insane. Insane. I hope you motherfuckers washed your hands. Y'all went home sick and all that. Stop smoking blunts and sharing blunts with people. Stop sharing drinks. Stop fucking touching your face after they done touch their ass and then you shake their hand. Like, come on. Like with the program. Yeah, man, it's been a good week. It's been a good week. So today's topics, we're gonna jump right into everything. I feel like the last couple of days, the timeline has been in a frenzy. What else is new? You guys just are very easily impressed. But I get it. That's the point of building a brand and a presence. When you build a brand and a presence and you promote anything and it's and you're relevant, the dumbest shit you promote gets attention. Literally, the dumbest shit you promote will get attention. So keep in mind, you want to get attention? Create a brand. Create relevance for yourself. Create something cool, and the rest is history. Fuck, I'm cold. I'm trying to shake this off. Fucking still sweating from the gym. Where are my notes? Oh. So I don't know about you guys, but I am no longer downloading any new wallets. You got a new wallet? I don't give a fuck. Not downloading it. Keep your fucking wallets. MetaMask is the only wallet that really matters. Let's be fucking honest. Let's be real. Go into the tech if you have to. If you don't understand the tech, ChatGPT, why MetaMask is more secure than any other wallet on the planet. This is not a MetaMask shill. This is just the truth. I didn't even know this shit until recently. Shout out to the boy Michael. That man is just amazing. Unmatched, unfucking matched. But I have so much I want to just, but I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna wait. Will, did you have a good time at the party? Did you have a good time meeting some people at the event? How was it for you?
I definitely met some people. I was, it was a little thrown back. People were excited to see me. go back on that. I'm just like a regular person. So I appreciate everybody who showed up and said hi. I typically try not to show up to too many events. I'm not trying to be one of those people on a milk carton, you know, where they try to rob me for my crypto. But you know how it is.
Yo, he's for real about that shit too, man. I feel you. I get it.
I try to avoid a lot of events because of that. Too much funny business in this space for sure, where people, you know, try to do some funny stuff. And don't worry, I don't keep my crypto on my phone, so you're not scanning me and taking my money. But yeah, outside of that, I think I thought the event was pretty live. Like I would have stayed later. Obviously, I had to get up at 4 a.m., so I went back home a little bit earlier. But it was like midnight or something like that when I rolled out. But yeah, that event was pretty interesting. And then the dinner was awesome too. That was a pretty good spot. So I think everybody enjoyed that.
It was great. You were eating the meat like it was fucking fries. You're like, yeah, steak. I'm like, you want to get a salad? No. Protein. Just a steak. Just a steak. YouTube question. Is this chick on Trenbolone? What the fuck is that? Is that some type of tranquilizer? If it makes me think better, run that shit. No, we're on an energy drink. That's what we're on.
Trenbolone is like
I have to chat GPT this.
Fake steroids.
Oh, steroids. Damn, bro, you trying to say I got muscle, bro? Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. You like, hold on, you want to see these abs? Hold on, I got some abs for you. Hold on. Yo, if you're on the video stream, you get to see some skin, man. Pull the fuck up. Nah, but we're gonna kick this off. Like, comment, repost this the stream if you haven't already. We're gonna give away some Solana. I'm giving away at least $100 in Solana in the first hour. All you have to do is like, comment, repost, tag a friend to qualify. We got a couple of things to talk about. We got some guests pulling up. We got Bitcoin to talk about. I know the master right here is about to get into the charts, but I have a fishy, spidey, tingling feeling that we're going to head into this little real soon, right, for the summer. And I have a strong feeling it's going to drive a lot of mayhem on the timeline, more than we already have. It's finally obvious to the majority that we're in a bubble. We've been in a bubble. And hence the stream. Hence, you know, I'm definitely not staying on crypto Twitter solely anymore. Just, first of all, just not net positive at all. You need to diverse yourself. If you're doing spaces, if you're out there, if you're doing any sort of marketing, you're silencing yourself just being on Twitter. I promise you. I don't give a fuck if you're nervous. I don't care if you're scared. You want to find yourself doing this shit, get the fuck on other platforms. Simple as that. Get the fuck on other platforms. That's it. Like that's my best advice to you. It's really important to dominate somewhere. I agree. It's very important to dominate one thing. But these days, followers don't matter. Followers don't matter. Engagement and consistency is all that matters. You can make a fucking sick video tomorrow with a crazy take and you're viral when you wake up. And you could have 97 followers or 10,000 or 1,000 or whatever. Because algorithms are catering to things that get the most attention. If your face, if your takes, if whatever you're saying, whatever, if you don't want to be, you know, be faceless, whatever, you're going to get attention the more consistent that you are. I promise you. The biggest bozo in the world has attention. And they probably have money too. I'm not saying go sell your ass for attention. If that's what you like to do, that's what you like to do. No shade. Got you. I might send you a tip if it looks nice, right? Girl, guy, doesn't matter. LOL. No, but seriously, like, just get out there. Just get out there more and, like, realize that if you're here in the bubble creating and tweeting, it could be just tweeting, creating, like tweeting things about things that you like or don't like, your takes, you know, whatever it is, you are actually ahead of, like, I think like 50-60% of the internet. Tech and finance get the most payouts on Twitch, YouTube, and all that. All your favorite streamers you've seen, the Kai Cenats of the world, the Aiden Rosses of the world, the agents, the DDGs of the world, those guys don't even really talk about tech and finance like at all. And they're making multiple millions a month. I'm not saying you're going to turn into that overnight, but you have such a better chance of getting ahead on the internet just because you already are into tech and finance, even at the slightest. You don't have to be big brain. You don't have to be like a Will. I am not like a Will. I understand the fucking basics of technical analysis. And you don't see me like spending 7 hours charting, and you never will. I'll throw up a chart or whatever, talk about something, but you can literally talk about what you enjoy about this whole niche elsewhere and 5, 10x everything, your money, your views, your engagement, everything. So I need to make this clear. Like, I don't like, I'm not saying go be a streamer or, you love to, like, if you're already in this fucking lane, like, just pivot a little bit, right? Pivot a little bit. But yeah, Will, you said that you, actually, I want to ask you this. What's one thing? I know the event was dark. It was kind of late. I know you met Girl in the Verse and everybody else, but what was one thing you noticed about the event while you were there, if anything? Any weird characters? Any weird energy? Did you see a ratio? Was there only men around? Will's this is Will's first time at one of a Profits hosted event. I would love to hear this direct feedback.
No, I honestly have a mixed bag of feelings with the conversation.
You have a what?
I have a mixed bag of feelings with the event. Like I kind of pay attention to everything. So like I think there were some people there that are, I don't know, like some people are there just like socially trying to interact with people and stuff like that and conversate. I didn't feel like there was a lot of people trying to I don't know. I didn't feel like there's a lot of people trying to get contacts and stuff like that and trying to collaborate and everything. But I felt like there were a lot of people there just kind of hanging out, chilling. It was more like a chill fest, to be honest with you,
Right.
more than a collaboration. But no, I thought the event was pretty cool. I like the AI in the background. That was pretty cool. And then the little bit of advertisements here and there, that was pretty cool, obviously. And then obviously Six was there and some other people, definitely. Cam, I thought a lot, made a lot of the normals and stuff like that. I honestly, like, a lot of the people there, like I liked a lot of the people that were there. I thought they were all pretty chill. I did think like there were like sectors, but that's even like if you're at a club, right? If you're at a club setting, there's always like people huddling in one area or another. So there was a lot of that too. But yeah, intermingling, I don't know. I think that it was just a chill session with like a bunch of people just like basically like they were at the club. That was basically it.
Yeah, I would say that was so my goal originally was a bigger, like a way better venue. The venue was amazing, by the way. Shout out to Club Ego for letting us do our thing. But then I found out Ape Fest was in October, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna go crazy for Ape Fest in October. I feel like I'm going to be in Vegas a few times this year. So Will, get ready. But yeah. So like originally it was a different setup and a vibe that I had planned, and then once I realized Ape Fest is in October, I was like, all right, you know what? We won't do anything as extravagant. So, but I still wanted to be able to do something and bring everybody together. There is like I feel like there's like a DAO, I swear, but there's like a good group of people that like, yo, Profits events, like I've been to all your stuff. And I shout out to you guys, like, you know who you are. And I appreciate them because they always give me feedback, both good and bad, whatever it is. And the most consistent thing is, damn, I love how I'm connecting with people that I never would connect with ever. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sui, Solana. That's the number one thing I pride myself on. And, it's not a coincidence. Like, I get it. I know why. I'm not a project founder, if you will. And, well, technically, like, I'm not an NFT founder. And so I'm not like, and I'm not a maxi. I'm never going to be I'm a profit maxi, but I'm a chain maxi, but I'm never going to be like blockchain maxi, right? But I'm never going to be niched or siloed to just one. And for anybody that out there that thinks that's the right thing to do, maybe it is for your current job or whatever it is you're doing, but you're actually doing yourself a disjustice because this industry is so fucking big. And to be honest, like I said in the beginning, you are ahead of like 60% of the fucking internet. I'm better than project founders. Appreciate that. You're like ahead of 60% of the internet just by being in this space, right? Like, And some of you like, damn, bro, you're giving the trenchers and the shitheads a lot of credit. You guys are the bottom of the barrel. No disrespect, especially if you only log into Twitter just to shitcoin. And because like days like today, you cooked on Cruz. If you're a trencher and you didn't cook on Cruz, you're not a fucking trencher. I don't know who needs to hear this. Go run to your mother. Go run to your mother. If you didn't catch that today or last night or whatever the fuck, you're not a trencher. And I'm not a trencher. Your girl's not a trencher. The information just comes. You get me? The information just, I've made this clear. I put my 5 years in this fucking space. I better be in a fucking chatter too. I worked hard for the lot of, yeah. Anyway. The point is, fuck. We are such a big deal. Crypto Twitter, for the majority, the decent people, the good people, we are the hot commodity. And this information needs to be easily digestible elsewhere. Okay? For us to get bigger. Oh, onboarding exit liquidity. No. What's going to onboard people is fucking attention and content. And not just here in this circle. Not just here in, on this app. We have to diversify. I'm sorry, I'm beating the fuck out of this drum today, but I really, really feel that. Kicked off my TikTok career 2 days ago. First video did 500 views in a day. Literally nothing. But it's all right. It's better than nothing. First YouTube reel did 1,000 views in a day. Hey, that's a start. I don't know who needs to hear this, but fucking start. Just post. Just put that shit out there. Put that fucking shit out there. Let me look at my topics. So I absolutely think the crypto Twitter bubble was popping, and I'm going to tell you why in just a second. We have some events and things to talk about that are coming up soon. If you're going to be in New York at the end of this month, hit me up. We're going for permissionless. We're going to also be throwing an event. Definitely going to be a vibe. But yeah, Will, let's jump into these charts. You got your charts ready? You want to pull them up?
Yeah. I think in a sense to the conversation of crypto bubble popping, I am starting to see people like just start to bow out. Also, that's another thing I've been seeing across the board. Big accounts too.
Yep.
Like I think.
Hold on. What is that an indicator for you? Because I feel like it's something for me, but what is it for you? What is that an indicator for you?
So there's asset tops in a sense, right? And what I mean by that is like long periods of time before you'll probably see huge profitability again. Like it'll probably take another decade or so, or something like that before you'll see that ecosystem move again. I just feel like as much as people think that crypto is unknown, I think it's known, right? It's not as unknown as it was in 2021, 2020. And the space is, it's become hugely, let me think about it, but a recycle farm, right? It just recycles people over and over and over again for liquidity. And it's a musical chairs in a sense in some ways too, with liquidity. So it's like, okay, one day you hit for 100K, but then you just keep dipping in until you lose it all again. And then another day you dip in, like, I mean, look at James Wynn. Dude's out, millions of dollars because he just kept trying to long the breakout. And I think when you watch people like that do those kind of things, it just shows you how not only predatory the market can be in a sense, but just how little people actually know in this space. Like you're longing the breakout. Like that's not the optimal place to be longing anything. And you keep trying to do it continuously and losing millions of dollars that you've, essentially gathered from the market. And that's what this space does. It really bait and switches you. A lot of people don't know how to take the money that they make here and put it to use. They'd rather just keep it in the space and keep on rotating it and hoping that they make more and they make more. And eventually they're going to end up zeroing out themselves and starting over again. And they always say, oh, start over again. I got hacked, or I lost all my money. I leverage traded all my money. All my money's gone. It's like that. You don't look intelligent saying those type of things. And a lot of the time it could also just be them just farming the timeline, right? And a lot of people don't realize that. Like they say they lost all their money and stuff like that. Likely they didn't. And they'll be like, oh, I'm starting this new account and here's where I'm starting with $200. Follow my account, And that's just them, again, just going back to bait and switch everybody and get them to follow their account, so that way they'll copy trade them. And what will they do? They'll dump on their copy traders. It's recycle farming the entire space. And again, I think the space is so well known.
Wait, hold on. You're saying you're not going live on Twitch talking about don't copy trade me, like as the title?
No.
You're not doing that?
No. I don't even disclose my wallets because I don't want people saying I'm dumping on them. And you know, I mean, that can be looked at a couple different ways, but the point being is like the people that do disclose their wallets in a lot of cases are not traders, or people that can trade, or people that know how to read a chart. And you wonder why they're so successful. And they're not successful because they're trading. They're successful because they're saying buy this, you're following them in, and then they're just dumping on you. And you'll see 100 coins within a couple months on their timeline. And I think that's always interesting. And they call themselves trenchers, right? It's like you're a trencher, you've caught 100 coins. How many of those coins actually made it? How many of them actually made it? 1, maybe 2.
I think there's only 5 or 10 coins in the last year that stayed above, like stayed relevant. That's crazy.
And you see it time and time again. It's really interesting with the space. You know, people say, "Oh, I'm a trader, can't read a chart," but hey, here's my wallet address. I'm starting with 200. I'm gonna buy this, and everybody copy trades them, pumps it up, they dump on them. It's really simple. It's not a hard process to understand. Or they'll have back wallets, right? They'll hold that coin on the front wallet, the one they're showing you, and they bought with 2 or 3 wallets, and they're dumping on the other wallets while holding on the one wallet that they showed you they had $200 of, or whatever they started with. Like, I think like there's not a trick in the book in this space that I haven't seen. I've seen every predatory trick there is in crypto, more than what I've seen in the stock market, which is actually surprising because I've seen a lot of tricky shit in the stock market. But
tricky shit like what? How do you manipulate the stock market?
I mean, it's simple. Be the person that's passing the bills in the office and are in Congress.
Damn.
It's really simple. Become a politician. But yeah, so again, like it's just at least that's readable to a degree. You could be a month behind when they got to do their reporting, right? They've already dumped when they're telling the public what they bought. But you know, in crypto, man, it's just there's so many ways to skin the cat, right? At the end of the day, and I think that enough people don't think about that. Like everybody thinks, oh, they're being transparent. Here's the wallet they're showing us. What about the other 5 they're not showing you? That they're dumping on you.
By the way, for those that are listening to this and they're like, oh, duh. I'll say this. For us here, we're definitely getting desensitized to it. And it's starting to become a joke. And it's starting to become like, duh, of course we know that. But the reason this is still very important is because there's nothing worse than your normie friend, family member, cousin hitting you up, talking about, hey, I bought this Dogenal, or I got into this whatever, and I got scammed out of this. And you're like, fuck, I knew better than to fuck with that. How come they didn't know better? That is the issue. Then you kind of have to like teaching of shit. So for those that are like, duh, this is obvious to me. This is not obvious to the naked eye. Most people have not been here for 2, 3, 4 years getting fed the bullshit that we're getting fed here. You know, that's the point. That's the point. There's Twitch, literally, YouTube, fucking TikTok. The sentiment of crypto and meme coins is disgusting. It's nasty. People think they need a fucking membership to do it. Like, or Discord, fucking whatever. Like, anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, again, I'm not complaining. No crying at a casino at the end of the day. We all know the rules.
Exactly.
It's the point being is just that, you know, I think the space is just more well known than what most people think that it is, and I think a lot of people avoid it for that reason. I don't think there's any onboarding the normies when the normies know it can be, you know, predatory 100 different ways. They're watching Cardi B launch a coin with Sahil on the back end of it. They're watching, you know,
after Offset says that she got to run back that money.
Yeah, they're
shade,
watching.
By the way, I hope she's happy with her new relationship. But yo, Offset need that bread. Launch that coin. You feel me?
Yeah, and we're seeing it time and time again. I mean, it's crazy the amount of musicians are coming to rub the space, let alone, you know, other people. Yeah, I mean, I've even seen politicians come in and rug the space. which is absolutely wild. And I'm talking about Congress politicians coming to run the
Speaking
space.
of which, everybody tag Eric Trump below in the bottom right corner. Tag Eric Trump below so he can see the post. Yeah, go ahead and tag him. You know, why do you think the political people can get away with? Why do you think they can get away with it? Will.
Because the fines and laws and shit are just so minuscule. If you're running for millions of dollars, who cares about a $5,000-$10,000 fine? At the end of the day, when there's no jail time, no charges that are going to be set for it. I mean, Congress has been doing it for a long time. I mean, they've been taking advantage of the stock market. Now they're taking advantage of crypto. And, you know, I think it's just more and more we're going to see. People don't become congressmen because they want to serve the people. They become congressmen because they want to rob the people. And that's basically how this is going.
Will, wait a second. I don't think that's everybody. That's crazy,
that's like
Will.
90% of them. Yes.
Nah, it's everybody. It's everybody. I agree with Will. It's everybody.
How the fuck are you talking off mute?
Exes knew he was telling the truth though. Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. I honestly think a lot of those people, you know, in government should be in prison, jail, to be honest with you. A lot of them. Because I think they've committed crimes as far as robbing people and setting up rules and regulations that benefit them and nobody else. And, you know, at the same time, they want to be mad about us trying to make a couple dollars in this space and then tax us on top of it, which is pretty wild. But I won't go into that too much. You know, specifically as far as charts go, we'll get kind of into that. I think we're at an interesting point, 104. It looks like we're kind of hesitating at the high here. It's basically sitting on like a doji right now at the high. We are sitting above support, so that's good. I think our support line sitting here on the monthly is right around 103. As long as we stay above 103, I think we can spring load off of this. But I'm kind of questionable on the overall move. I mean, we got a nice trend.
Below 100K for the summer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. We have a nice trend going up, but I think we're going to dip into, you know, roughly about 90, 93, something like that is what I'm looking for. But you got to break 103 first before you can confirm that. So I'm not going to call that ahead of time. But that's my thought process. I'm leaning more towards we'll break down, but we'll see how this ends up breaking out or playing out here at the high. We did form a lower high so far. But if we could start breaking into a higher high structure here, now what I mean by that is we hit roughly about 112, right? 111, 112-ish. And if we could start getting back up in those ranges and get up to like 113, then it would be a higher high and we might be able to swing higher at that point. But currently our monthly candle open here is setting around, I think, 107 at the high. I think I called it on the timeline around 108, 109, so I might be off 1K. Maybe 2. But I was pretty damn close on the breakout here that I was going to hit roughly in those levels. I think it's a downtrend here. If you basically just take the weekly, not even the weekly, I would go out more off the daily, but you can see it on the weekly too. And you were to kind of put a line at the highs here. This is where you want to kind of see a breakout from, is this downtrend that we're currently forming, which we are forming a downtrend on a daily here. So you got all your highs right here playing at the high. You keep peaking this range, but then you roll back underneath it, forming a lower high structure on the daily. So daily looks a little bearish, but as long as you can hold 103, you know, roughly relatively in that range, I think you're pretty good. But if you end up kind of breaking below that range, I really think we're going to come back down into this 90K range. From there, I don't think it kind of stops at that point. And this is why I took the short I took. And now keep in mind too, the price I gave people on the short, and I caught this at like 108.7. That's where I took the short side position. The price I gave people was to cut around 104, but it ended up going a lot deeper than that. I think 103 was the low here, which is really kind of making me wonder if we're going to roll back into that range especially where we're rejecting right now, as you can see right here on the chart. And if we do come back into that range, as long as we can hold that 102, 103 range, we're good. If we end up breaking below that or dipping below here, I really think we're going to roll back in. I think summer is going to be a lull. Again, every time people always say, oh, summer. Show me a summer that's been profitable in the past 3 years. Show me a summer that's been profitable. Well, now what I mean by that is like a big swing up, right? It doesn't mean you can't trade a chop.
Even the most bullish summers haven't been profitable.
Yeah, it's likely just going to play sideways. I'll just be real. Like, I know 90K sounds horrific, and it sounds like I'm calling for some kind of like substantial breakdown, but I mean, the previous low was 75, so 90K is nothing, right? But I really think we're going to pull into that. And again, I've talked about this. I can't even say how many times, profits, and people just don't want to listen to me on it. I'm telling them August, September. And I showed them past 3 years, August has been that low, right? So it goes August into September. September starts to break out again. And so I'm looking for a Q4 breakout. I'm not looking for a summer breakout at the moment, but it doesn't also mean that when we do play downside, that altcoins can't have a little mini altcoins even somewhere's in here, right?
Well, I'm grabbing a package real quick. So entertain these people for 5-10 more minutes. 5
minutes, you got it. But altcoins specifically, I don't think you're gonna have altcoin season. Like I'm tired of that conversation too. I don't think you're gonna have altcoin season yet. Again, you have to wait for blow off top before you get real excitement in the market, before you get real interest in low caps. Because what do? People see an asset absolutely outperform. And then what does everybody's mindset go to? Does it go to buying the asset that outperformed, aka Bitcoin? Or does it move more towards like, where can I catch the beta to catch up to the asset that outperformed? And it typically ends up going to beta. And that's when you get your altcoin season per se, right? Is basically around the time you get that blow off top. Then you'll get an altcoin season that follows. Short-lived, everybody chases the beta, and then everybody gets cooked. This year has been for sure boring. I completely agree on that too. I don't think it's been exciting at all. But again, it was Q4 into Q1 and then chop sideways. That's all it's been. We've been chopping in a range. I mean, currently we've been really testing this breakout range of 108, 109. We got a little bit of a breakout, but then we fell back below that 108, 109. We're currently at 104.7. So now that we're back in this range, I'm just looking for this current trend that I'm showing right here. And for those who aren't watching, we're also streaming too. But this current trend right here, I'm looking for this trend to hold and us to kind of pull back into that and then get a breakout again and then break out. And then I think we'll obviously move, at this point, I'm thinking mid to high 100s. And then we get cooked, right? And where would we go in another bear market if we get another bear market? Let's say if. I know a lot of people don't believe that that's going to happen again. I do, because I believe in cycle theory. But if we get cooked again back into a bear market, I'm looking for previous all-time highs, somewhere around 90K, all the way down to like 60, 66, right? 69, previous all-time high. Just like what we did from 2021 and 2017 high, where we broke back into that. And it's more because these highs and lows as we go higher and higher are going to be less and less. And so downside is going to be as substantial, just like upside isn't going to be as substantial. The only stock I can see right now across the board that looks pretty decent is Estee Lauder. I think it's one of the best looking stocks across the board. And I would say it's comparable to something like Meta. I know they're two different things as a whole, but I'm saying chart pattern wise. Meta gave a very similar chart pattern right here to the downside. And then it had this big, massive breakout up to the upside. And Estee Lauder is a strong contender, I would say, in that same camp. As far as the way that it's structured. And it's a well-known makeup brand, as well as perfume and everything else. Is breaking to the downside. RSI is bottomed out. Stochastic is coiling at the low. I think this is getting ready to kind of do a V-shaped recovery out of this, just like what Meta did on its chart pattern. Again, one's makeup, obviously, and one's tech. But I'm saying pattern-wise, they look very similar to the way that it bottomed and to the way that I think that'll break out. AI stocks not doing too fantastic, but you do have stuff like quantum computing that's still doing phenomenal. I think quantum computing is looking really good. Nike, I think ideally is bottom. That's another one I'm watching too. I'm giving stocks because it's the only thing that looks good right now. I do think like if you're buying memes, you can buy memes into Q4. I mean, there's no point in trying to trade them right now. They're not going to do substantial upside, but you could size into these plays a lot easier right now while prices are down still. But Nike right here hit, I think, roughly around like $53 against a dividend stock, does dividends. And I think that is going to be your low. I think that once you get above like 69-ish, Nike will start moving up pretty substantially. And I think this is a good time to pick up some decent stocks or decent companies if you're really looking for that at the moment. Somebody asked about Fartcoin. Sure, I'll bring up Fartcoin.
Well, Vegas, we love you to death. We absolutely love you to death.
That's good. Are you back?
I'm back.
Nah. But go ahead.
Those Microsoft strategists are in Coinbase.
Which one?
Microsoft strategy MSRT.
I think Coinbase will follow ETH to a T. I think whatever ETH does, Coinbase will do, and I can show pretty decent proof of that here. And this right here is ETH. This right here is ETH. Both of these are relatively. They did the same exact move ETH and Coinbase. They did the same exact move as far as pullback and everything else. Broke trend, came back down to the previous support, and then broke away from that. You said which one? Microsoft?
Yeah, and Microsoft strategist.
I mean, again, I think here's my thing with Microsoft. Microsoft already recovered.
You talking about MicroStrategy?
Oh, MicroStrategy. I was like, what?
MicroStrategy.
My boy had two.
MSRT. I know. I was like, what? Or MSTR.
Yep.
Oh no, man! Look, I think MSTR will do well as long as Bitcoin does well. So as long as you're looking for a swing into the ranges I was speaking about, so the ranges again I was speaking out was roughly mid to high 100Ks. I don't think you're making it to 200 personally. And a lot of people think we're getting to a quarter mil. I don't think we're getting to a quarter mil. I think we're getting to mid to highs, and then we're gonna roll. But you know, if you're looking at that, I would look for MicroStrategies to swing the same way. This stock seems to swap really hard with Bitcoin, and so far it's been a pretty good performance to the upside. You could even, I would say, in a sense, if you wanted to leverage the position, I wouldn't take long positions on Bitcoin. I would take call positions on MicroStrategy, if that makes sense. And I think that's a safer way to do this if you're looking to leverage the trade. Less chance of liquidation, give yourself more time, and then you could still take advantage of the market move with a lot less risk. A lot of people don't think about that in crypto, right? Like James Wynn, if I were him, I would have went that route versus trying to long Bitcoin specifically. I don't think that was the smartest move. Especially not in a chop range, not on a breakout, man. You don't long breakouts. It just blows my mind that was even attempted. And then what was the other thing? I think somebody else mentioned something else.
How the fuck are people talking through the mute button?
There were people talking through the mute button. I'm trying to figure that out.
Hold on, Nico. Hold on. I don't know why there's an echo, Will. Maybe we figure that out. In about 10 minutes, top of the hour, I'm going to give away the first Actually, there's gonna be 2 winners, but I'm gonna be giving away $100 in the first top of the hour. All you do is like, comment, repost the stream to qualify. Tag a friend for bonus points, and then we have our special guest coming like around 8:05 p.m. Eastern. So, yee. Anyway, sorry, Nico. Not that sorry though. Go ahead. You got it. Continue.
Oh, yeah, okay. Whatever. You're sorry, not sorry. It is what it is. Welcome back. I thought you forgot how to host spaces at some point. But, yeah. And then all of a sudden you're throwing everybody off on a Wednesday. But,
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't want to wait till Thursday. I got home really late last night. I was gonna do a show like yesterday, and I was like, nah, I'm traveling still. So yeah, throwing you niggas off on a Wednesday. Let's go. Wednesday vibes. But yeah.
well, there you go. So I actually agree with you on the MicroStrategy move because I'm not looking at the price, but I'm guessing that it's down at least 50%, or maybe somewhere around like 75%. Like not 75, 25% down at least. But the whole thing is that that's at least going to do 2 or 3x. Bitcoin is probably going to go to like 150K, maybe. If everybody's lucky.
That's what I mean. That's why I think the leverage trade is more on MicroStrategy than it is Bitcoin.
It is, and
and it's safer.
Elite. Like if you get something that expires in like a year, it is a lot safer.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
That's just and I'm just giving you guys that just from a little bit of experience, man. Like I feel like people in this space act like you got to stay in this space to make money. It's like, nah, you can play stuff that's outside, especially now with how they tied so well between the stock market and crypto. It's easy to play the stock market versus crypto and make a lot of money with way less risk.
I think the best way to make money in crypto is put $10 on every fucking shitter, not sell, and wait for it
to moon.
Yeah. Like that's pretty much the best way. Just go through every single shitter that fucking made it to Radium, right? It's got to at least have made it to Radium at the minimum. Went down to like 5 or 10K. Put literally $10 because that's not too much of a supply, and just wait. That's it. You know?
Yeah, and the cruise got floored yesterday, and then it ran today. I think it's up like 20, 30x.
Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up, fellow cruisers? Nico, did you catch that?
No, I wasn't. I'm happy.
Oh.
At least not Solana. But what do you call it? You know what? I have a friend that sold a World of Woman yesterday. And then all of a sudden it did like a 15x today.
No way. He decided to sell it yesterday?
Well, it's a she, but they sold it yesterday. Yeah, like they were literally, the offer yesterday was like $70. And then all of a sudden, they pumped today. Like, can you?
What are they at today?
They're like, so I think they're like 0.8 ETH. I forgot. Oh no, sorry, 0.4. Like 0.4.
Bro, I got a bunch
I had
of those.
this information too. I fucked up. I should have bought a whole bunch.
I bought a bunch when they were really low.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the wheat offers were like $70 yesterday. Literally.
I'm going to look right now. I'm going to sell them.
Will, can we get back to Farcoin, por favor?
Yeah. We look. Farcoin.
Why did Farcoin dump on Pump Fund News yesterday? What the fuck does that even mean?
It has nothing to do with. I mean, it had a pretty easy to see resistance here. I mean, this is a bear flag. It's in a bear flag. It's building long to go short, and now it's broke down from that bear flag. It's rolling. I think it comes down to like 0.78. That's what I'm looking for this one, and then I can pull up the other one too. Somebody asked about the one on base. I bet I already have it charted. Let's see.
Did you see that new one that's coming out?
Boom! Look at this. Look at this shit. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me how I do these things. I just do them. But I already had this charted out. Look, same bear flag too. Same as I had it charted out for the bear flag and everything on this one. And I think the one on base will follow the one on Solana. I mean, here's the thing: like your upside is almost equal. So like, why even play the beta? I guess, in my opinion. But yeah, these charts look exactly the same. I bet these are launched by the same people.
What? Farcoin and what?
The one on base
Oh.
and the one on Solana. The charts look exactly the same. Like
That's
dead
cool.
on.
So, did you hear about that new thing that's launching after they decided to fucking after Pump Fund decided to announce their launch?
No, who? What?
Some other platform is launching, promising to like give back to the community instead of doing what Pump Fund is doing by extracting.
Bro, they're all extracting. Some of them are just trying to look less extracting than others.
For sure.
Wait, how the fuck is Pump Fund extracting when you're deciding to buy the fucking coin?
No, I'm not saying like in the aspect of me buying the coin. I mean, like I'm talking about volume flow, right? The point is to keep the volume flowing so they can get their revenue stream.
Wait,
I don't mean.
Are you gonna buy into that pre-sale?
No, I'm not buying that shit.
Oh, okay.
Hell no, I'm not. I am not trying to get liquidated.
Yesterday, I don't understand logically why you need to do another pre-sale if you already had your early investors give you angel money. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm not thinking of it right.
Not enough Lambos and Rolls Royce.
Mm.
That's it. You know.
I have a really like positive take on it. Maybe over optimistic.
Would love to hear it, Mary. Go ahead.
Thank you, Prophets. No, I think that in the case that let's say that let's give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that they're not going to just go and buy a bunch of Bugattis and stuff. Like I think Elon has a pretty clear-cut plan for what he wants to do with Pump Fund, and I think he wants to make it bigger than just meme coins. Right? From a lot of the people that I know that are working on it. He really wants to build out the streaming platform for one, and obviously he has the ability to make a lot of money, raise a lot of money, and I think that he's taking advantage of that as a businessman and looking to build Pump out into like a great platform. What that does for like the trenchers, you know, who knows? I'm still pretty sure there's probably going to be an airdrop. Elon has said multiple times that he's going to reward early users, but I think that he's looking to build this into like a long-term product, and I would wait till we get news before like making any negative judgments. I've seen a lot of like FUD on the timeline.
No, 100%. I spoke on that.
I think the FUD is coming from the new raise, especially knowing that they've already quote unquote raised in the beginning. But I guess with numbers like that, you're able to kind of go shop for more investors. So I mean, GG.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
what I was talking about, by the way, Prophets.
That what?
I pinned it up top to what I was talking about, the new platform.
Oh,
all of a sudden,
more shit. You're shilling up more shit. They paid you for this shit.
No,
I'm fucking around.
Look,
Peace, building heaven decks. You guys and these fucking names. Okay, my problem right away is they launched a video before any type of tech. That's an indicator that they don't know what the fuck they're about to do. They just need engagement and attention. No shade, but yeah, that's my first take.
Apparently, they're launching in 2 weeks.
Of course, they're not launched yet.
let me say this though. Like, does anybody care?
No, not really. Honestly, at this point, this whole thing until like the streaming aspect of it is figured out, I don't think anything is going to happen.
I feel like the streaming meta is diluted and it's losing its footing. I really do.
There's a lot. Like everybody had the podcast all of a sudden. Nobody actually wants to like make any actual content. Like it's just podcast, and they want to be like really, really lazy about it. Right?
You guys are watching my podcast.
Well, it's a little different. We've been doing it for a while. Like we've got to start. That just like now all of a sudden, instead of just making content, like actual content, something like people to learn from, they're trying to be like the next big thing. Where there's just way too many people trying to do the same fucking thing. You're in the same rat race, right?
You don't want to watch people sit on the toilet for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on Pump Fund?
I wanted to watch me fucking sit on the toilet, but that's besides the point. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's totally besides the point. Like I'm just saying though, like we've gotten to the point where we've got people trying to make content on how everybody else's content sucks. Like,
Bro, it's bad. It is like I'm so sick of watching people bitch
That's my
about other
favorite.
people. Like I'm like,
That's
bro,
my-
just don't even look at their timeline. Like, why are you
That's my
making content
favorite.
on somebody else?
I love that. The haters, that's what we call them. Don't get me wrong, you can have opinions on people's content. My thing is like, none of these people that have opinions have ever amounted to shit. Never got 1,000 fucking YouTube subscribers. Never got more than, a few hundred likes on a post more than once. Who the fuck are you to judge content? I don't know. I'll call out cringy things, but I'll never, ever, ever criticize somebody that's trying to do something different, even if I don't like them, just because everybody deserves to use these free platforms. Dude, it's free to post. One day, it's not going to be fucking free to post. Just saying.
Yeah, but you know that, like, all right, I wouldn't dog anybody if they were making content, but they have to put some sort of effort into it.
Fair.
Like, if you're just sitting there just talking shit the entire fucking time with nothing to back up your shit, then I don't think there's like a reason.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who make content who add no value whatsoever. Like they're just literally just shit talkers on the timeline, like when I say no value,
Do we call that content or Twitter Spaces? I don't personally think Twitter Spaces are content. I never have.
Look, I call it X because that's the content you see on X.
Yeah.
It's just.
Well, what is the content that adds value?
Teach somebody something. Teach them a skill, man. Like or at least make people laugh. Like funny content's okay. I'm good with that. But like this, like sitting there and talking about people's looks all day, and like I watch people look. I'm not gonna name drop, but I watch people sit there and like literally do 50 posts on somebody's looks, and it's like, bro, that's super cringe. Like you could say something a couple times, but like. That's all your content is based around. There's nothing else. There's no substance to your conversation. I'll put it that way, right? It's more about substance to the conversation. I love funny people on X. Being funny is content. It's good. It's funny, but like just sitting there like talking about other people all day and just talking shit about people, and not even like in a way that makes sense. Like if you're talking shit about somebody who's rugging people, I think that's fine. Right, you're that stuff needs to be exposed. If you're talking shit about, some funny shit that you're seeing with a business, that's fine. But like, I see a lot of people just sit here and like post nonsense, and it's the same thing on Pump Fun. Like when you see those 24-hour streams, I'm gonna sit on the toilet. What? Like, who's watching that?
People are doing that.
It's really, I don't know, just weird stuff that I see on here a lot.
The one that like pretty much pioneered all this is the Bitcoin debt. The fucking what's his name? Some Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic 10 I think he shot up heroin on stream.
What?
Yeah. That's what ended up. Yeah, that's the first instance. That's why
the guy who fought BitBoy.
Yeah.
Look, I also think like it's like if you want to crash out on a timeline, I'm good with that too. Like watching people crash out live is okay.
I think he did it on Telegram, like on the Telegram stream shit. I don't know. I heard about it. You see the total plot.
Like BitBoy has been a movie, man. Like if you watch that guy from 2021, his life has been a movie on X, and like that kind of content's okay. So
that's that though, because he definitely got like
he's locked up right now
by his business partners.
No, I mean, look, I don't know what all happened and what didn't happen, right? I don't know that definitively, but like just watching him, like you've seen his ups, you've seen his downs. Like that's real life content's okay, and I feel like he really showed his real life out there on the timeline. A lot of people don't respect it. I do respect it. I think like people that are transparent as fuck, like about everything they're doing is fine. Like, and there's bad and there's good with everybody, and he showed it all on the timeline. I think a lot of people are not willing to do that.
But BitBoy showed a really good example. Okay, don't leave your wife for wrestling casted a whore, but don't leave your wife for whores or hoes. Okay, because when you get locked up, they're gonna go to crypto conferences with other boys, with other men. Okay, I'm sorry. I wish it wasn't like this. I wish it wasn't like this. Somebody send that man some commissary. Um, yeah, I don't think anybody deserves to be in jail. At the same time, you know, you make decisions, you shift in on the internet. You feel me? Like I don't know. I'm gonna digress because I feel bad that he's in jail. However, I'm
You don't
not.
think anyone belongs in jail?
I'm not shocked. I think you belong in jail if you murder somebody, sexually harass somebody, molest somebody. Yeah, for those types of things. I'm saying like when you granted, we don't really know what happened behind closed doors with Big Boy, right? All we see is what we get from the internet, right? All we
You know that, right?
I was about to say that's what got him in there, huh? It was him in court crashing out.
So he was saying the judge was against him and all kinds of crazy shit. Like he made a video about it, and then
He took some fent before the court case. That's crazy.
There was Fenfest in the courtroom.
I mean, listen, if I know I'm getting to this level of craziness, I'm gonna have a handler. All that money on the Gucci, on the this, on the that. I need a fucking handler. Yo, don't let me crash out and fuck my life up. I'm gonna be crazy, but don't let me be that crazy. Am I bugging? Am I dumb? Like
Yeah.
And I feel bad for him. I don't remember who said it. Frankie, I think, said it, that they felt bad for him because he got manipulated by his business partners. I agree 100%. Because that entire channel was him.
I'm more unsubscribed.
Yeah, I never liked him anyway.
I've heard some things, man. I've heard some things behind the scenes that I'm not going to repeat, but I'm still pretty new to the scene. And when I heard that, I was like, man, this game can get fucking grimy, bro. So,
Yeah, I mean, I would say this. A lot of people go off based what they hear, what they see, but none of us truly know the back end of what happened there, right? And I do think it was a lot of the face was him, but there's always people that work with you, right? And there's always people that help you, and there's always people that have a percentage of investment into what you're doing to a degree. And I think that that's a fair take too. I don't know how the whole I don't know what happened there, and so I don't have an opinion on it because I don't.
It wasn't big enough for what do you have, like 1 million or 2 million subscribers? All right, why the fuck would you give up any portion of your fucking channel for grabs? That's insane. No way. He is the channel anyway. Like it's Big Boy. He made the entire persona of the channel. You can't change that. If the channel had a general name, that might be something different. But no, like I don't understand what he did. He definitely got manipulated in some way, one way or another. You know, like there's no way. Like he might be promised certain things. I don't know.
nah, bro, listen. When you decide to now take yourself out of like me, I'm Shanice, right? Shanice Best. I'm an individual. I have a business. No, but he decided to turn his name into an entity and then bring in all those people. I know this for a fact because I have the direct connections and all the information. Now, I'm not saying I pick a side. However, they decided to collude and say, hey, this is now a joint business, right? And he was able to manipulate people watching him that don't know shit from fuck about an LLC, S corp, and all those things. And of course, it sounds crazy, and of course, everyone's gonna like root for you. But you decided to sign that years ago. Whenever the fuck you signed it, you're breaking rules. You're breaking stipulations in your fucking contract. What do you expect? So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying that's what happens when you decide. All right, I don't want to be an individual no more. I want to be an entire entity.
Yeah, you have to follow by the guidelines. He's talking about the ones where I was talking about the people on the toilet. Nah, Mr. Beast was a different guy, and back then you got to think there wasn't a lot of people on the internet. Now the internet is like, what does everybody want to be? Go up and ask a 15-year-old kid what they want to be. Go up and ask a 12-year-old kid what they want to be. I want to be a live streamer. I want to be a content creator.
Facts.
Like the space is absolutely diluted. You got to put in 10 times the work you used to have to put in to be able to actually grow as one of those things. I think just not enough people understand the amount of work they have to put into this.
Let's see who actually listened to directions today and liked, commented, and reposted. Let's fucking see. Damn, nobody wants money. No, I'm just kidding. A few did. A few of you guys did. Yo, shout out to LMD Opezi. Send me, I'm gonna put it right here. Send me your Solana address. Congratulations. What a fucking legend you are. Wow. You log in and you get rugged by people every day in group chats, and you come here and you win some money. Shout out to you guys. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
What I pinned up top, the first one, California just passed the bill to see coin left idle in exchanges.
What does that mean? Why are we shocked?
That means that, let's say you leave the coin on years of inactivity.
No, I'm sorry. I know what it means. I'm saying, why are we shocked? The government is always trying to take shit that's not theirs.
Nah, not like.
Have you read the bill though? Yeah.
I read into that. You can claim it back. Make it. You can claim it back. Is what I was reading.
Oh, that's good. So that's why I was asking, because I didn't know if anybody actually read how they were doing. I don't know why they would seize it in the first place. It's freaking weird.
That's what I'm saying. It's like trying to see the savings account.
Oh, you know what it probably is, right? It's they're gonna probably try and seize a bunch, and then if people die, they can basically essentially keep it. That's likely the route they're going here. They're not actually trying to take people's crypto, but if you die, they're gonna take it.
Yeah, I'm reading into it. Apparently, it's like unclaimed property loss. So you can always.
That is wild.
And if somebody dies, somebody can claim it, like kids or whatever.
Maybe that.
No, they have to be able to claim it, bro. There's no way.
Well, he just said if it's unclaimed property, then how are you gonna know that you have Bitcoin, that your grandfather had Bitcoin, your great grandfather had Bitcoin, unless they tell you?
I mean, their ego stuff, whatever. Like, maybe their grandfather told them. You know, like you obviously got to tell somebody if you're old and you got like a wallet, like the fucking.
It is. I will say this, regardless of how it goes, it's messed up. Like they shouldn't have a right to seize anything. It should just stay on the exchange, and then somebody should be able to pick it up if they find it.
Are you guys on Twitch too? If you're on Twitch, make sure you guys follow and subscribe. Most people here though don't have any of that. Yeah, we have a few. We got a few minutes. We have a few more minutes till the special guest pulls up. Will, what is your take on Pump Fund launching in 2 weeks or whenever it does launch? Do you think it depletes all the meme coins on Solana?
I really don't have. I just don't care anymore that these are launching. I
feel you, but I get you, but let's be real.
I'm so desensitized to this shit now.
It's gonna be a liquidity event. We know this. We know
yeah.
this.
Everybody has like meme coin fucking like pirate. Like we're done. Like nobody wants to talk about meme coins anymore. Yeah.
No, here's the thing. Like, I'm still buying and adding to my winners, but I'm only buying my bags. Like, I'm not buying new shit. I'm not buying Ponzi's. I'm not buying stuff that, like, is just launching. Like, I'm not buying Jupe. I'm not buying this. I'm not buying Tia. I'm not buying anything that deals with airdrops or purchase ahead of time or any of that shit. Like, you can keep it. I'm not interested. I think like the best thing to do at this point and stage in the game, especially because of where my mindset is 4-year cycle, is that we're going to get a blow off top. I need to take advantage of it. And then I'm getting out, and I'm not doing that through buying new launches that are basically in the end, if we go into another bear market, become an exit liquidity event.
What's up, Cam? You there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's good?
West Coast Cam right now. What's good with you, bro? You been trenching, or are you on the charts?
Yeah. That's out to you. That's out to you today. You know what I mean? Probably been in the trenches too.
What happened? You cooked?
Yeah, I cooked, man. Thank you. I cooked. I put it in when you told me and went to sleep. I woke up like, damn. That's why I put in our group.
There. Good shit.
I appreciate you.
Well, let me ask you this. When I first asked you, you told me, and you don't have to drop the name. We don't want to give people no extra fucking clout that they don't deserve. You as an actual trencher, and Cam is, if you guys don't know, I think very unique because
He's
I don't
the
think it's talked
trencher.
about it. I don't I don't think it's talked about enough that he's like a true he chases volume, whether old or new or whatever. And I think that's very unique because most people just trace new launches. So like in your opinion, when it comes to, finding things that you jump into, you said a certain person promoted it and normally, you kind of stay away from things that certain people promote for good reason and you're normally right. You're normally right. What is that biggest indicator for you? Like when certain people promote something, certain Twitter accounts.
Yeah, stay away. It's certain people. I'm not gonna call them out. But certain people that anytime I see them show anything, I know it's going to zero. I know they have an exit price, and they're all gonna dump on everybody's head at a certain exit price, and it's pouring on the blockchain. So it gives those people out there that you have to be extremely careful. And of course, if you really like in the trenches, man, you should know if who to avoid. If you know what I mean, craziness is going on out here. But yeah, I do have a group of people that I definitely stay away from. See them showing something right now, and guess what? I'm clicking it.
Not clicking it.
So we need to buy everything that James Wynn buys, right? So he can keep up with his leverage positions.
Bro, how is he in profit? Isn't he in profit again?
Yeah, he's gonna lose it all again.
He got liquidated and then asked for donations, and now he's back on top. No. I'm saying in general. I don't know what happened today. Something happened today?
I think he came close to liquidation. Didn't he? Oh, did he add? Because liquidation, I thought. Oh, yeah. No, you're right. I think price did fall down below his liquidation.
Yeah. Yo, Capo, what's up?
He said Moonpig to $1 billion today, and it dropped 40%.
Bro, them Squally and all those scammer motherfuckers. I saw them promoting Moonpig a few days ago, and I was like, Where did it go to? Did it cook?
Yeah, it cooked. It cooked when he was on his run. It definitely cooked when he had his run like that last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's why I think I stayed away. I saw it had ran up, and I'm like, no, why y'all promoting it now? It already ran up.
Nah, it cooked until he needed money to kind of push his leverage position down a little bit, and then he cooked on it, and then he did the same shit, Cam, with Titcoin, didn't he? Sold that shit to the floor.
He showed one of the reasons that I caught me a nice last week because he liquidated his position, and you know what I'm saying.
2% supply, bro. That's wild to sell that there.
Yeah. Who did that? James?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, 30 mil. That's only 2%.
Oh my.
Y'all out here selling supply? Let me know.
Bro, he's legit. He's legit crashing out live worse than BitBoy on the timeline, man. It's actually wild how much he's crashing out.
Well, I don't think anybody else lost timeline, but like that's a lot of fucking.
But whose fault is that?
I would have been happy with 1% of that. I don't even think it.
I think we're coming to an understanding as a space, and this is not a joke. This is serious. And if you need to seek professional help, I highly advise you to do so. Gambling, especially at a level where you're throwing in 4, 5, 6 figures, is a highly addictive drug. Almost, I actually would argue and say it's worse than crack, right? Because now you're accustomed to a lifestyle. When I tell you, the motherfuckers I met in Dubai that are from America, and they swore up and down, they're not going back to America. They're having too much. They're enjoying themselves way too much. I'm like, brother, what? Go to your mother. Your mother wants to see you for Christmas. Go back to the States. And then it dawned on me, holy fuck, you guys owe back taxes. So you're really stuck Now you're really obsessed, and now you're really listen. These characters will promote and share and talk about things in a light that it's like, oh shit, that's it, that easy. The best thing is to hold Bitcoin. It blows my mind how Bitcoin is trading over $100,000, and this whole corner of Twitter is losing their fucking minds. This lets me know more and more day in and day out. Most of you don't have a good credit score. Most of you don't wash your ass daily. And not to mention, you guys probably don't fend for yourself. You're couch surfing. You owe your roommate money. You guys are tweeting out, oh, 40K, blah, blah, blah. You still owe student loans. This doesn't make sense. This whole point of grinding is to get the fuck out of this shit. Bro, your credit score better be good.
No, that's a good point though, Prophets. Like a lot of people don't realize that the point of coming into the space is to try and get yourself out of a bad situation, not put yourself in the worst.
Sorry, my bad, Will. It takes one to know one. I was 22 years old, flexing like I knew how to trade Forex, living in somebody's fucking apartment. Okay? It takes one to fucking know one. You have to know how to read through the bullshit. I'm now 32 years old. 10 years later, we learned that lesson the hard fucking way. Get your credit score up. Get your cash flow up. Get your skill set up. That's it. If there's one thing you take from this show, it's that. Okay? It's literally that. Shout out to Cruz. Anyway.
Yeah, I think the bad thing is too is like we're in such a bubble here. This is what I noticed when I came into CT, because I was floating around the cryptoverse for about a year or so beforehand, and all this meme coin stuff was kind of unbeknownst to me. And a lot of people come into CT because they want to get involved. They're excited about crypto. They're excited about the adoption of technology and all this stuff. And they're here for money. Don't get me wrong. They're not here for the time. But with that comes money. That's a lot of people come here to get involved in that and to invest. And I think a lot of people get psyoped into thinking that the only way to make money in this space is to throw it in the trenches or to go all in on memes. Because the other alts, the L1.
I wouldn't even say that's their only way. They think that's their highest upside. That's what you're trying to say, right? That's the highest.
Right. Well, right now, we can make like maybe a 2 or 3 something else, but I want that 50 to 100x. The reality is, this is my thinking. I still think we're going to get a pretty crazy alt season. Not where everything goes up, but where certain tokens really do go parabolic, because when a lot of people come into this space, when the markets get animal spirits, and when more people have jobs, more people have money, and we're feeling better about things, we're watching Bitcoin rip and ETH starts to rip, people start to get FOMO, and there's a lot of money sidelined. I mean, there really is. And those coins are, I think a lot of coins are going to go fucking crazy, and I think that a lot of people could have saved themselves a lot of pain by just buying strong assets and holding them and waiting for that ETH outperformance in that late stage bull market. All the gains that we get in the bull market, aside for the gambling, which, I mean, let's be real, most people lose money there. All the gains in crypto really come at the end of the cycle in like 4 to 6 weeks. We sit here for years and years and years screaming all season, and then it finally happens, and it's really over before you know it. Mm-hmm. I don't think we're going to get all season. No way. I just don't see it unless something crazy happens. But
yeah, that's where I'm at too.
I just think a lot of tomfoolery on the timeline. That a lot of people get misled. That this game is a lot simpler than people realize. It's just to identify strong, hold them into all season. I think we'll get that. If we don't get all season, then that thesis is cooked, right? Obviously. But I think ETH will bring all-time highs. I think we'll see it.
When you see people on the timeline not sell their PFPs for stupid amounts of money because they think it's the future, that's when you know we're at peak euphoria.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, I think there's a few people, very few in the space that kind of understand what's actually going on. But my thesis has been like 2030 is kind of the year, that next cycle is going to be the year where things are really going to be good. And that this cycle is kind of one of those lull cycles where you can make money here, but you should just be DCing in gradually. and basically, like you said, Frankie, strong assets. Like and this is why like I talk on some of these stocks too, because I think they're strong assets with good names, good brands, and stuff like that, and they're at heavily depreciated prices. And I think that when you look at a lot of this, if you just take your time versus trying to chase, you'll do fairly well. Chasing was fun, and it's really good when you're near like the bottoming of a market, but it becomes more and more difficult the higher and higher you get with price. And at that point, you know, once you get so high, every move almost is an exit liquidity event, right? Like every new launch is an exit liquidity event. And it's just I can't explain to people. This is why like I tell profits all the time, like, look, I'm just not interested in new launches because they're too risky. And then I look for things that are heavily depreciated and I try to take advantage of those, but I'm not willing to touch new stuff up here because every time you get into something new, and I've seen it time and time again, this shit flips around, goes right down to zero. And when I say zero, obviously not zero, but you know, close enough to 90% down, 80% down. That's where a lot of these new launches end up coming back to. And you can catch them at heavily depreciated values if you're actually interested in them. You just have to be really freaking patient with this market. People are losing patience and losing a lot of money because they're losing patience.
Dude, patience is the alpha. Patience really is the fucking alpha. Let me pin this up too, because I think this, you know, there's a lot of things that I see out there in the, you know, and kind of in the macroverse that tell me that, you know, my thesis is at least somewhat correct. But this is from the 42 macro team. The executive summary. Let me just read. There's 2 sentences. It'll take 10 seconds. I think people will be stoked to hear it. But and it goes to what Will's saying too about summer. You know, we have to be patient through the summer. It's been a long ride. I get it. We're fucking tired, but let me read this to you. So the key macro question for last Friday: are asset markets sleepwalking into a turbulent summer? Potentially, but as long as Paradigm C, which you can read about in the next slide, it's basically just really the same reckless spending and government debt that we've seen from previous administrations, plus tax cuts and deregulation, which are really going to set things. I think it's really going to fucking set things. So as long as Paradigm C remains the highest probability, we think it is supported by the PCEs and macro data. Investors must buy the dip in anticipation of a potentially explosive multi-quarter move higher in assets in the second half, is what he's referring to, 2025. That would be driven by persistent upside capitulation with a large swath of investor consensus that still needs to transition from being myopically focused on tariffs, aka don't worry about tariffs. Tariffs are going to get sorted out. They're scarecrows, sure, and they're bringing short-term uncertainty, sure, but tariffs aren't the story. And then to understand the full distribution of economic policy outcomes in Paradigm C, which you can read about in that next note. And then just on that note, you know, on patience, the third chart, we're not going to get rate cuts this month.
Likely Q4 will be where we'll see them. Q3 going into Q4 is my thoughts.
No offense, but literally how can Jerome Powell push off rate cuts for 6 consecutive weeks in a row?
Because we don't necessarily need them.
Yeah, the thing is like there's I think a lot of people think the Fed's gonna panic cut. The only way the Fed's gonna panic cut is if we get deflation. If you get a panic cut, you're gonna get a heavily depreciated assets. They're gonna drop like rocks essentially. It's not gonna be good. So I think he's gonna ease into it.
Yeah, they're not panicked. I mean,
yeah,
for what it's worth, you know, the U.S. economy is pretty strong. Cracks are starting to show. I think we had some labor data come in a little bit weak today, so that's a step in the right direction. But that is a reason to cut. That, guys, they need political and social comfort to come in and shift policy. They need to see the cracks first. You need to see problems really start before they.
I mean, I'll be real. Like I think Q4 will be profitable, kind of like what you're saying, Frankie. Right, like the latter half of this year will be where the profitability will be. The problem that I'm seeing is probably, you know, and I think there's a good chance of it. And this is the same issue I had 2021 going to 2022 when they said inflation was transitory. And I was like, there's no way inflation's transitory at 7%. And then we went to 9%, right? And then the Fed started slamming us with rate hikes. But basically, I really can kind of see this market as going kind of bullish going into Q4. and then going into Q1 of next year, us ending up in a deflationary environment, which ends up because the Fed cuts late. Again, to what Fall was saying, but I think the Fed is going to cut late. And when you got deflation already happening from spending slowing, plus tariffs on top of it, tariffs are going to also slow down spending pretty heavily. You got a double whammy on deflation. And if you end up oversteering the boat, which I think is a possibility, it'll look good in Q4. But I think if you go into Q1 and you looks like you oversteered into deflationary territory, you're going to see sell-offs of assets like you've never seen. It's going to be another bear market again.
Yo, real quick. Hold on. We have a new guest on the stage. Fawcett, I don't think you ever came to one of my spaces. We just talk shit to each other in people's spaces. Fawcett is America's first Gen Z president. 2036 is already mine, according to him. So you better wait until 2044 to run. Black, queer, go shoot, Native American / trans woman. Welcome to the stage. Thank you for being here. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You not know Bob? You never met Scott before?
No, we talk in other spaces, but I don't think he's come to mine.
Good. So here's the issue right now. The longest time the Fed has gone without a rate cut in modern history, in fact, at all since the 70s, has been around 6 months, with prices remaining steady, with rates remaining steady. Problem we're seeing is, do we see a rate increase happening at all in the next year?
Possible. It's possible they don't cut rates. It's possible that the conversation shifts to them hiking rates. I mean, Jim Bianco makes that argument. Personally, I don't see it. I think we're going to start to see cracks. They'll have to cut for that. How long it's been since they cut? I don't think it's really too rough. I think one of the main reasons that they have been so bad is because something else happened that's never happened before. Is we printed 40% of the money supply in the course of 4 months.
Correct. But the longest time outside of this time period was before the 2008 recession. Specifically, for all of the crowd, it was October 2006 all the way to July 2000 and June 2007. They kept the rate steady at 5.25% the whole time. So what I'm saying is, the last time we saw a Fed rate stay this consistent for a long enough time, it spelled disaster in the long run. So what makes you think we're not going to be getting something before July?
Well, first of all, based on the chart that I showed, this is like a Wall Street expectation on rate cuts. Source comes from Bloomberg, it's from Bianco Research. 5% chance of a rate cut in June, 20% chance of a rate cut in July. Now again, it's not definitive, but it's markets are pretty much priced in no rate cut this month. And again, there's just not really a reason. Like I said before, the Fed needs a reason to cut. Think of their dual mandate: stable prices, stable employment.
The market's been pretty on point too, Frankie, as far as whether we get cuts or don't get cuts. It's been pretty on beat.
There's nothing going on. There's really no reason to cut yet. I think if we see inflation come closer, more inflation data bringing us closer to 2%, we start to see continued weakness in the labor market. That's what they're looking for. That's what Chris Waller came out and said. He said, as far as rate cuts go, we're looking for bodies. And what that means is we're looking for less people employed, more people unemployed. It's not ideal. I mean, it's really not. It is what it is, though. I mean, what can we do?
Well,
I hope they had before
the main question, and you kind of answered it, but I need to reiterate. There was definitely writing on the wall last time. There was rate cuts that were suspended, and say you're right, correct? And what's after July? What's the next meeting after July?
August.
Okay, so it's every month. Okay, sorry, I don't know if it was a 6 month thing.
But no, they take a break in August. I think it's September.
Yeah, they take a break in August. It'll be September. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If there is only a 3% chance of a rate cut in July, and they go all the way to September, that would be the longest time in American history where rates were not cut down from this. And it just spells it just.
So, all right, I'm just gonna like help you out here a little bit. Like, no, when they were supposed to do like raise rates, when everybody was saying for them to raise rates,
They weren't.
did 1 July. Skip that all like no, there was no meeting in August, and I believe the meeting in September was a little later than usual or whatever. And they should have cut rates in July.
Yep.
So I'm actually trying to back up whatever you're trying to say.
So real quick before you go further, I think to your point though, this goes back to the conversation I've been having is that I think 2026 is going to be a shit show because I think they're going to be late to cutting rates. They're still saying they're tightening, right? They're still saying they're tightening, which means they haven't said we're going to look at cutting or any of that stuff, which means that they may be very late to cutting, just like they were late to raising. And if they end up late on that end, they're going to go into the deflationary area, and you could get another 2008 in 2026 easily.
I don't think so. One of the reasons why I don't think they're going to cut.
No, I'm talking about deflation specifically. We have to understand deflation and what deflation does to the economy, right? Deflation decentivizes investing completely and absolutely. If you oversteer into 1% or 0%, or even in the negatives, you're going to definitely have a lot of people pull money out of the stock market.
But I think they've taken that risk out. I mean, for one, the Fed is always late. Like that's their mandate is behind the curve. It's the hard data that they're looking at. But second of all, if we hit a deflationary environment, they just print their way out of it. They're taking a left tail risk out of market.
But we're talking about a ship. We're not talking about turning around a bike or a car.
What's up, Nico?
Yeah, please. So here's the thing. First of all, they're going to be following whatever's going on in your yields, the Fed. All right, that's the big one. Because right now there's a lot of people that actually have money in the money markets instead of because the yield is so high. That's like huge. And then you've got everybody else they have the retirement funds in the stock market. So the Fed is kind of stuck with between a rock and a hard place on this one. But they're going to follow the yield, the 10-year yield. That's what they're going to follow. What's going to happen with that? If it goes up, they might have to raise rates again. Well, I don't think it's going to go up, but it almost did because nobody was buying the bond.
Well, then, if no one buys the bond, incomes central banks to buy the bonds or the treasury. They've already been doing that. They've already been implementing yield curve control.
So
Is there a graph for this, William? Is it Nansen? Can you pull up a graph?
So here's what hold on. Let me just throw this part in there, Nico, real quick, and I'll be really fast. So obviously the Fed has the spreadsheet, right, where they're basically buying up bonds and everything else. How do they unload those in an environment where they're starting to try and do cuts?
They can.
They're way over leveraged. They're way over leveraged. They have to remove bonds from the balance sheet. It has to happen. And so a lot of people there are saying that we're going to get cuts. How are you going to get cuts and remove from the balance sheet?
Here's the thing. All right, so I'm going to get. I want to get. If you look at me DMing you, one of the things that I always talk to you about, or even said anything, is DXY and the dollar, right? Because it's been very weird to me the last 2 years. The dollar goes up, Bitcoin is going up with it. So what's been happening is, and it's true what happened because you see Tether fucking made more money than the U.S. government on the dollar. And Tether's been buying bonds. I think, which I don't think is going to happen right now, but I do think that if Trump passes any kind of stablecoin regulations where they have to hold bonds and it's actually a thing, I think that's what they're trying to do too. I was watching somebody the other day saying exactly what I'm saying, but I've been talking about this for 2 years, 3 years now, right? This whole thing, they're going to try and pretty much, it looks like they're going to try and make Tether and whoever the fuck else, USDC, buy bonds if they want to print stablecoins. If you're going to force them into it. No, but I actually think that's a good thing.
But that's not going to be enough to equalize bonds to the way they need to unload the balance sheet. It's not even going to be close. They need countries to buy bonds.
I understand, but that's the thing. There are countries, there's a lot of countries using Tether. Like you can already see the evidence in a lot of ways on this. There's already countries using Tether. So, and if Tether is forced to print, they're going to have to buy bonds to print those stable coins. Right now, Tether is like one of the top. They're in the top 15 holders of bonds. And if there's any regulation actually passed, so I ended up meeting somebody that worked for Kristen Gillibrand. She's the senator of New York, and actually we had a long conversation about stablecoins about this. Right? I actually met him. This is the cab. I met him at the cab, and he was the first person to put it on my radar about stablecoins and what's going on. So they have to, and I think they're figuring it out. But they're trying to figure out how to regulate stablecoins without making the entire market crash. And I think this is a good way, because if they regulated stablecoins and they came out with a CBDC, that's bad for the entire market. But if they regulate them in the way that I'm talking about right now, or if they're pretty much gonna make them buy bonds, I think that'll actually help out.
You think that's going to happen in the next 6 months?
Yeah, I'm saying I think it's gonna happen actually in
Okay, but what we're talking about right now, or at least what Frankie I believe was talking about, was current, like 2025, 2026, this curve where everybody believes that we're going to start getting cuts with the balance sheet being over leveraged the way it is.
I'm sure we get cuts. I'm not saying that too. I don't think we get cuts right now. Something does have to. I agree with that. Something does have to break for them to.
What do you think about that, Frankie, specifically on the balance sheet and the cut situation? If you're here.
You want my dad? Well, what was your question?
So what do you think about the balance sheet versus like people thinking that we're gonna get cuts with the balance sheet being as over leveraged as it is for the Fed?
Hold on. We got a special guest here. I'm gonna ask him a question. Mr. Eric Trump, I want to know, how do you feel currently about Bitcoin at the current point in time?
Hey guys, we're bringing Bitcoin to America, and America is going to win the crypto revolution. That much I can tell you right now. Yeah! We finally have a competent president in the White House. And we have a president who loves this industry and is behind this industry 100%. Hey guys, I'm telling you, we as a family could not be more excited about this, and amazing things to come with this group of people on stage right now.
Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate you. Hey, let's get back to Frankie. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
Like the Fed balance sheet?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. What do I think they're gonna do with it?
You don't got to answer. It's all right, Frankie.
No. So what I was kind of saying is, like, everybody keeps talking about cuts, right? How can you cut and be that over leveraged on the balance sheet at the same time? Are they just going to carry that balance over? Or are they going to actually still, again, I think this is more to the argument that they're going to wait to cut because they have to offload more of the balance sheet.
I'm actually not familiar with what you mean.
So basically the Fed does buybacks on bonds, right? To keep the rates relatively at a reasonable level. And so in that scenario, they create a balance sheet by balancing that, by buying those back to keep rates from going too high. And so when the Fed buys up on the balance sheet, they then have to deleverage that buy up at a certain point. And they have to deleverage that by selling those bonds to a different entity, whether it be another country, investors, yada, yada, yada. And they usually do that. That shows more like in times of comfort where people feel more comfortable with the country and stuff like that. You tend to see a lot more bond buying. I mean, bonds were basically, 0.03 in 2021, 2020, because there was such a huge interest in bonds. And now bonds have gotten to a point where there's just barely any interest in them. And so they're having to buy such a substantial amount of them at the moment to be able to balance that balance sheet or to be able to keep the rates where they are so they don't get too high where it's unsustainable to be able to pay the rates, right? So they have to pay a percentage. So if it's 5%, they have to pay 5% over the 10-year, over the 2-year, whatever it is. And so they can't let those rates get too far. So they have to buy them down whenever other people are selling them out. And eventually they have to sell those off to be able to equalize the balance sheet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no. I'm familiar with the fact they have to buy. And what do you mean by leverage, though? Like the interest they owe on the bonds they're buying. That's where I'm like not sure what you mean when you say. I'm probably just not familiar with it. But what do you mean by like when they're leveraged?
Sorry, they're buying the bonds to keep the interest rates down, so they don't get too over leveraged. So that way you don't get like 20% 10 years, right? Or 20% 2 years. So they're trying to keep that balanced, and so they eventually have to offload those before they can actually start cutting, because offloading the balance sheet is actually bad for the economy as far as like it's like selling pressure essentially. So
you mean like QT?
You need buyers. Yes, it's QT, exactly. You need buyers of that QT. And so because they have such a substantial position right now in bonds, they have to QT off some of that bonds on the market somewhere.
Been doing, isn't it?
No, nobody's buying.
Nobody's buying them.
Follow the 10-year yield.
Correct. Exactly. That's the problem with the 10-year right now, is nobody's buying the 10-year.
Yeah, well,
nobody's buying the 2-year 5.
But I was listening to Jim talk today too, and if they're gonna move the SLR, it's like fine, but it's like, are these these banks are already underwater on those bonds as the
exactly.
Yeah, okay. I was losing your leverage. I don't know.
Yeah, so when I say leverage, I mean like leverage up or leverage down, but yeah, not like actual leverage.
I don't know what they'll fucking do. I mean, who's gonna buy them? I don't know. I mean, does the Treasury come in? The Treasury's doing something, right?
I don't think that they can. I don't think they can offload them. If they can't offload them, I don't think QE can come. That's the problem I'm seeing with this, right?
You want to hear what the worst part about all this is? I'm actually looking at the 10-year chart, and it's so fucking bullish. I like to the upside, but that is scary.
No, here's the problem. They have to keep buying into that if that ends up happening. And that's really going to overload their balance sheet, and they have to offload that somehow. The Fed has an obligation to balance the balance sheet. That's why it's called a balance sheet. But Zach, I see you wanted to jump in there real quick.
No, I just wanted to just give you Japan couldn't sell anything 2 weeks ago. No one showed up to the bids at all for bonds, and then the same happened for the U.S. But they actually cut the the Bloomberg terminal fee because no one's buying them for the U.S. as well.
Yeah, that's I honestly why I'm bearish on 2026, because if they can't find a buyer, something's going to give. Because you can't hold rates. It basically they can't cut. They can't cut.
Do they have to
No, they can't buy them again.
They sell them at partial sell, so they'll do it at 60% off, 40% off, but they can only do that so much so far. They won't buy them.
Yeah.
And so when they sell it at a partial sale, that means that what? They cover the difference out of their own pocket?
You guys got to remember that the banks are also like $500 billion underwater on bonds.
No, they're more than that, bro. They're more, some of them were buying at point decimals in 2020.
I know. And right now we're at like 5.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the reasons why everybody thinks the Fed is lower rates, but at the same time, look at what's going on. Nobody's buying the debt, and they're really stuck between a rock and a hard. And I don't really think.
Plus, we pissed off all the other countries too.
That's the Negro's point. We said that you mentioned that like the strength of the dollar in the 10-year. That's the divergence we're seeing, and that's I think partially due to a crisis of confidence that, quite frankly, Trump lit a fucking match and fucking threw it on the fucking hot market, and there's no going back.
Now, before Trump, this isn't exactly Trump.
It did. It started with inflation.
It started with Biden when he seized Russian assets.
And it's continuing, but I think tariffs have helped deflate the inflation, but they haven't helped the Fed unload the balance sheet, because they kind of double whammied, right? So they pissed off everybody who traded with us, which is what it is at the end of the day, right? I don't have a political care like what people's opinion is on that. I just look at it from a numerical standpoint. And so it pissed off the people that traded with us. And then in addition to that, the Fed has to offload those bonds. So how can they do that if nobody will buy? And so the only thing that can typically happen, and this is why I said you could get, I'm not saying this is going to happen, But this is why I said you can get a 2008 type squeeze, because if they can't get into QE at any point because they're stuck in QT because of the balance sheet, then at that point you can cause a collapse for staying in QT for too long, and you can oversteer the boat. And I always look at it like it's a big long boat, right? So big long boats take a lot of steering and a long turn. So you know, it could be potentially really bad for the economy if that ends up happening.
Well, they're not going to let. The thing is, too, is like they're not going to let the economy just collapse. They'll figure out a way to inject.
They'll stimulate when the collapse happens, is what they'll do.
Right. I mean, that's what I mean. If we get an inflationary environment, like in my mind, you know, that's why I think you should always buy the dip. It's like if we get a
100%
like that, what's the response? Massive stimulus. It's always massive stimulus.
Yeah, but
we shouldn't.
But what I'm trying to say is the bottom could fall out before the massive stimulus comes in. Do you see what I'm saying? And then I'm not saying don't buy the dip. I'm not saying be fearful of the dip. What I'm saying is that there could be a great buying opportunity versus just buy like we've been doing going into 2026.
So you're saying the bottom falls out, but we hit peak fear for a few months and then
yes,
we correct shit.
Or we do our 1 year bear market atypical. I'm not saying that's a definitive scenario. I'm just saying like I think that's a good possibility the way the balance sheet currently sits.
Well, that's like the big fear about the bond market, right? I mean, it's why all the fucking guys are talking about the bond market for last.
It's a big deal. A lot of people are ignoring it, but it's a big deal. It is. The bond market really drives the market. Zach, did you want to jump in there?
The bond market, by the way, is like 4 or 5 times the size of the stock. Just so that people know what's going on.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It really steers the market in a way that a lot of people don't understand. Like if the bond market gets fearful, things get really bad for the stock market.
Yeah.
Eric Trump, I want to know how you feel about this conversation so far.
Yeah. Listen, I agree. It's amazing. I know my father made a lot of promises to the crypto community, to the Bitcoin community. When I see the growth from Nashville last year to this, you understand you're really on the precipice of something special. And that includes all those who've been in this. From our standpoint in the private sector, I mean, between Eric, myself, I think we can show our true level of commitment when you look at all of the doing in this space. Obviously, you have what we're doing here with American Bitcoin from the mining side. I think you saw all the announcement yesterday. Truth Social, TMTG, committing $2.5 billion to a Bitcoin treasury.
Wow. Let's on us, Eric.
You know, the trifecta of crypto, you have what we're doing with World Liberty and USD1 from a DeFi platform.
Wait, so you're not working with the Trump meme? Is that what you're saying?
We didn't just talk about the sound bites. We're actually executing on all of the things, and we're very long crypto. I mean, it's a huge part of everything that we do right now.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. I knew it. I knew that's why you tweeted that out yesterday.
Can you ask him if it's time to buy ETH?
Yeah. Any fucking way. Real quick room reset. Welcome to Web3 Exposed. We go live every single day right here at 6:30 Eastern. This is the best show on the planet. Don't argue with me. Argue with your parents. We are giving away more Solana. Very, very, very important. You have to like, comment, repost, tag a friend. Well, you don't have to tag a friend, but you get bonus points too. And we have a first winner. I'm about to call out the second winner in just a few minutes. And I also pinned up the official Telegram that myself and Will are going to be running. We've been building it for a little bit. Has nothing. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything yet. But this is probably one of your last chances to get involved. It's going to be locked away. I don't give a fuck for anybody on crypto Twitter to have this. I'm never going to put this in my bio. That's corny. But you'll get to, you'll get access to it and things like this if you take advantage. If you don't take advantage in the next 15 hours, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't have this.
It's up there. It's like the 4th pin over. I don't know. You don't pay attention. I don't know. You should be in there. You should be a motherfucking mod in this motherfucker. And real quick, we have the legend on stage, Mr. Michael. Michael, the first thing I said at the beginning of this was, I don't ever want to download another fucking wallet again. Especially because none of these shits are safe. MetaMask is the only safe wallet. I know you'd agree with me, and you have way technical reasons as to why that's correct, as opposed to my just mush brain reasons. But thanks for joining us, and I hope you're enjoying the conversation. You can chime in whenever you want.
Loving it. I actually got tagged by Dillo like an hour and a half ago. I think the title was basically like Scamonomics, and I was like, why the hell am I being tagged in this Scamonomics? But yeah, really lovely conversation. I mean, it seems like really big brain talk over here. My question to everybody that is talking about the financials and the dollar and everything is, do you actually think the price of Bitcoin is what it says it is? Because I honestly think, because of supply limitations and exchanges constantly running out, like that it's actually like 50% higher. I think we're at 150K right now. It's just being restricted as 104, 105. That's just me. Yeah, Ethereum's also doing a run. I think Ethereum's got like a lot of inflows over the past 2 weeks. It's looking crazy. Always enjoy the Web3 exposed. Got the alpha going. Let's fucking go.
I actually never heard anybody say that. Michael, are you being funny, or you genuinely think that?
Oh, I'm serious. I think that the price of Bitcoin is being manipulated. I think it's actually higher than what exchanges are saying it is. That's my honest opinion.
Thoughts, Will? Wait, I think we'll run off screen for a second.
I think it's possible. I mean, talking supply limitations, they don't even have enough. Like if BlackRock and MicroStrategy are buying the amounts that they're buying, they're waiting for those pools to be filled in order to buy it out from the exchanges. So, like, retail, if it was actually at the table, like they'd be scrambling for Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin, I believe, is way higher than it's shown.
I believe it. I mean, I think the same thing could be said for Ether. I think that there's, barring a bond market collapse, financial crisis, I think that's fundamentally what we see in terms of this crypto adoption. All the happiness clearing, put us at all-time highs. But we've got this macro overcast, this macro bearish position right now that just isn't allowing for it. And so I'll do like a historical number of shorts out on Ethereum right now.
I'm pretty sure, but there's like a massive opening because stable coins, the stablecoin market is rapidly growing, and I think that honestly, all this meme coin stuff and whatever is just a bunch of noise. Stablecoins are the real alpha. That's what we're going to be seeing, especially in the corporate sector. Yeah, I'm bullish on stables. I think stables actually perform better than even meme coins do with their current yield and what you can get out of them over time.
Yeah, I think the opportunity.
All right, I got no deniers up here. The conversation, profits.
We're all maxis, dog. We all want that to be true.
I've heard a lot around the conversation of stablecoins are the alpha. How do people benefit from stablecoins outside of corporate America?
Yeah, please somebody answer this for Will. He's against it.
When you see a trillion, it's going somewhere.
Or where's it going?
It democratizes access to dollars. I mean, think about. We take it for granted. Most of probably somewhere in the West, but people in different parts of the world, it's hard for them to get dollars or to store them securely. And this allows them to do that.
So you do know that most people hold their wealth outside of the United States with the dollar, right? No.
What's that?
A lot of people hold their wealth with the dollar outside the United States.
Yeah. More.
Their currencies are more deflationary, especially like in Europe. Other things like, all right, one of the things that people don't know is that the euro is actually like pretty much one of the main currencies in the world because they're in the middle of what's going on too. So, like, it's actually very complicated, like what's happening and everything, especially when we're talking about the bonds. Because it gets really, really complicated with all this shit. But let's put it this way: I think the entire world is like something like $200 or $300 trillion in debt. So nobody can do anything back So look at it.
Painting.
No, I mean, the world runs on debt. You know,
Exactly.
So debt is the currency. The currency is debt. You know, and so they want all of those things. It's just what you have to realize, and that's why Bitcoin is, I think, the trade of our generation, because this allows us to escape the debasement that brings. You know, whether we like it or not, we live in a world where our fiat currencies are debasing constantly, and they're losing purchasing power. And Bitcoin and things like gold, at the very least, some kind of asset. They got to be an asset. I'm not going to tell you which one.
Or houses.
I can tell you for sure, you cannot be in fiat.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of asset classes that you can benefit from buying to a degree. I think, but overall, like at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter to me. I buy the market as it is, and a lot of the time, I welcome bear markets with open arms. Natural resets are always good for me as far as positioning.
Do you think we'll have a bear market before we get a rage blow off top?
No. I really think we're going to blow off top in Q4. I just think that the beginning of this year is kind of just crap, to be honest with you. And I think at the end of the year, we're going to get a blow off top, and then we'll go into, I think, again, and I'm specifically quoted, this is why I've quoted the balance sheet so many times. I do think that the balance sheet keeps the Fed from doing what they want to do as far as cutting. They know they want to cut, but I think they're over leveraged on bonds. And we get a natural reset going into 2026, and I'll be there to bid when it happens.
So you don't think any cuts coming?
No, I think they'll cut initially into Q4. I don't know if it'll be a panic cut or a regular cut. We'll see by how much they cut.
What about QT? Because for me, my thesis on all season is really more focused on the end of QT and really not so much about interest rates. The interest rates are important, but I don't think they're really actually necessary.
Well, interest rates have to come down for spending to go up. It's a natural process. Like, people are not going to go and buy a new car when interest rates are going to put them in the 13 to 17 percentile for a lot of people, because they're not setting at a 700 or 800 credit score. And people can't buy a house because it's obviously way over leveraged as far as interest rates too. Like, you got to have some play here. I always look at it like the midway through the interest rates, you're at a good point to start looking at things. So like midway up. So if the achievable rate is 5%, then 2.5 is where you start to see the market flip, which is exactly what we saw 2022 going into 2024, or sorry, 2023. And then I think coming back down, where you'll see the optimal flip will probably be 2.5 again. Interest rates is where you'll start to see the market flip bullish again as they're cutting.
What's the current mortgage rates?
I think they're floating around 7, 9, something like that, with current interest rates.
Dude, I mean, this is the thing that really I can't wrap my head around. If you were to go back 10 years and you were to see like a $400,000 house, that same $400,000 house today is probably $1 million. And if you're taking out a mortgage, 30-year mortgage on a $1 million house, over time you're paying $3 million. You just paid $3 million for a $400,000 house. How is this even sustainable to the point where even if you do keep on increasing, you keep on leveraging all these different, economics and bonds and the stock market and like, it's all fake. It's all nonsense.
It is. But
even at 3% or 4%, it's not. It's still like, all right. So in that end too, like houses and all that stuff, prices need to come down because nobody can afford it. Even if rates do go down.
One of two things have to happen. People's pay has to go up significantly, middle class specifically, and then obviously lower, and that's not happening. Or prices have to come down. And people keep on saying that they don't. Yes, they absolutely do. That's again just leading more into why I'm kind of bearish going into 2026, because I think we're going to get a natural reset, and a lot of people just aren't seeing it. They're not seeing it. They're not seeing the writing on the wall. You cannot run a market with a leverage of every house in the U.S. is 1 million plus or 700K plus. A full household on average is pushing maybe 120 to 160K a year, and that's like middle class, right? Your average poor household, which is like 90% of them, are pushing probably in the 80 to 100K for the total household, 2 adults. So
So
you're not going to get people to buy a $700K to $1 million house, let alone approval rates are going to be very difficult for a lot of people in those ranges. So I don't really see it personally. I know a lot of housing guys will say, oh yeah, it's possible. You can finagle this or that. And it's going to be like, yeah, you can put anybody into a house, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be affordable for them long term.
Dude, I'm in my mid-30s, and luckily for me, I have no desire to buy a house. I think freedom's an asset, truthfully. But a lot of my friends, kids, wife, whatever, aspiring, they're all fucking, none of them can afford houses. I got my one buddy in California. Jesus Christ, he's absolutely cooked. Never in a million years.
California, I think most people out there have zero chance of getting into a house. Like literally that close to zero. Like what was the
0.001 from property tax?
Yeah.
Which I mean,
absurd.
some states are trying to eliminate.
No, well, California property tax, like you might as well just add your mortgage up for the whole year, and you're gonna pay that in taxes. It's absolutely insane over there. I moved from California to Nevada, just in case people say, you've never been to California, you don't know nothing. I know plenty. I was paying as much in state taxes as paying in federal. It was absolutely wild.
Do you know how many people didn't take into consideration when they bought their houses, their tax assessments on houses? Like some people that they bought their houses from,
prices go up, taxes go up.
Exactly, but they bought their houses. Like, let's say they sold the house for $1 million, they might have bought the house for $300K, and they're paying taxes on a $300,000 house. Now all of a sudden you bought it for $1 million, and you pay 3 times the taxes.
Well, here's the thing though: if they don't sell and it gets appraised at $1 million, like at the house, you're still pay. Like it doesn't matter if you bought it at $300K, you get based on your appraisal on taxes. So if your house appraises for $1 million, even if you bought it for $300K, you're gonna pay $1 million. Not $1 million, but you're gonna pay taxes on $1 million for property taxes.
Okay, but usually they sell before they can get assessed to that, and then the next person pays it. That's what happened to a lot of people.
I think the city in California does the assessment themselves. So I'm not sure specifically California, but I remember something along the lines that they go through and they check properties based on your neighborhood, and they'll charge you taxes based on your neighborhood price.
I don't think they do it every year. I know what you're talking about because it happened to my mother, but like I hear about it in like 5 years.
But yeah, I agree with you, Michael. I think prices absolutely have to come down. I don't see it, and that's why I'm micro bullish right now. Even maybe midterm bullish. But some kind of collapse or some kind of upbringing has to happen because basically assets that you need just to live are drifting further and further away from people. And the further they drift away, the less you'll see from people want to be incentivized to want to be a part of the society, right? You'll start to see people pull away from wanting to work. You'll start to see people pull away from wanting to live. Like there's a lot of things that it affects people's mental in a big way to not be able to afford things to actually live. And that's why prices always balance out, because it gets to a point where society is going to be so over leveraged that people are going to get pissed and react to this, and something's going to have to be done.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting to a point where a single family home sometimes has 2-3 families like living in it just to scrape by. I mean, this is not.
They're trying to normalize that, by the way, too. They're trying
which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's not practical.
I mean, why would you buy a home with somebody else? Just get an apartment if that's the case. And in which case, even apartments are becoming absurd, especially in California. Absolutely.
I feel like with comparative, especially in California and New York, apartments and whatever you're paying on a rent or a lease would actually be less over a 30-year time frame than if you were to own it and pay taxes on it. Sure, you could sell it, but the tax difference, you already dipped into your bottom line. This is not it's not a logical investment. Like, that's why when I see like real estate companies and like real estate is king, you can get a good deal. It's like you're lying to my face.
Like, you're literally lying to my face because you.
Like 20 years ago, literally 20 years ago, it actually was. Like,
No, 20 years ago for sure. Yeah.
it's ridiculous. Yeah, but so let me just tell you something. Because, like, bro, I remember this clearly. There was in the 90s, there was like a 2-year period where shit in New York, like New York alone, doubled in price. And then in the 2000s, it happened again. Like, when you've got two doubles, one decade after another, everybody is just spoiled on that one. All right. And a lot of people made a lot of money in like those two doubles. Like, because things were already going up slowly throughout from the 20s to the 90s. But the 90s, I don't know what the fuck happened. Like, let's put it this way. And the old man was right, because I lived next door from a dude that was like 99, I think. Like, he was pretty much close to 100. He had to sell his house because he lived across the street. And if he literally waited a year, he would have gotten 3 months over the money. All right. So, like, there was these really weird booms. And I don't know if it happened in California, but I'm telling you specifically New York. Because here's the other one. Like, there were a lot of cheap apartments I wish I would have bought in 2003, 2004. There were apartments in Long Island City going up. They couldn't sell them for shit. And they were selling them for like 120, 130 grand. You know how much they're going for now? They're going for like what? I can't hear you. Nobody can hear you. But they're going for like 1 or 2 mil. Some of them 3.
Remember?
3 mil.
Yeah, he did.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Do you guys remember when people told you never buy a condo? Condos are bad investments. Now the only thing people can afford are condos.
Yeah.
So they're paying outrageous prices for those too.
Man, my parents were recently looking for a spot, and they literally went to. They saw a condo. The real estate agent took them to a condo right by the beach, and it was not brand new. It was like a 2-story, 4 different types of flooring. You know, the usual slumlord paint over, and it was sold for 1.3. And I was like, who in their right mind would pay $1.3 million? I mean, just sold like within that week. So I just don't get who's buying these things.
So, Mike, let me tell you a quick one now. The neighborhood that I'm talking about in Long Island City, I got my driver's license in 2001. Me and my friends, I was like 17, 18. Me and my friends used to drive around. Hold on. We used to drive around over there and throw pennies at the hookers and drive away. That was like a Friday night thing for us. We used to go smoke weed on Roosevelt Ave.
We don't have to admit all the things we used to do. We don't have to do that. Nico, I'm just giving you a second to see if you wanted to continue the story. You want to continue? Go ahead.
So we used to go smoke weed on Roosevelt Island and then come back over and fucking just drive around the night like retards. What do you want me to tell you? I was like 17, 18. We were actually doing it from like 16 years old. Back in the day, shit was different.
Bro, smoking and driving around today will cost you $270. You step out of your house. Of course you were doing that back in the day, bro. It probably cost absolutely nothing. Gas was like 50 cents. Dude, it's impossible to do anything. You step out of your house, you're spending minimum $100.
Yeah, $5 in gas used to get me very far. Seriously, we used to also drive around. I don't know if you're familiar with Queens, but we used to drive around this place called Francis Lewis Boulevard. We would drive around and we had our spots where we used to pick up girls and stuff, and it was like a lot of people. That's how we met. Like, it wasn't no internet and Twitter and all that. We used to literally drive around. I picked the spot outside of the Foot Doctor place because everybody used to get caught at that light. You know, so that was the best place to just pull over, hang out, and just call out at the girls, you know? So me and my friends, whenever we talk to each other, we'd be like, you going to the Foot Doctor tonight? Yep, going to the Foot Doctor. Nobody understood what the fuck we were talking about.
Well, the
Yo, you hear that, Profits? We're going to Foot Doctor tonight.
The signal that I think a lot of people should be looking for, they're looking for a collapse, and I think this will be the signal, is when you start to see the gig economy collapse, right? And the gig economy being DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, so on and so forth.
How does that look when it collapses? Like a whole bunch of autonomous drivers and robots delivering the food, right? And
no, I don't think that's going to be the collapse of it. I just think like the economy has been so overstimulated that it's been able to support a mid-market kind of play, right? Somebody who's middlemaning you going to Taco Bell 2 miles down the road, right? Somebody who's middlemaning your grocery deliveries. I think once you start to see that middleman get taken out, and you start to see those gig economy plays start to go away, aka those companies go under, you'll start to really see a substantial collapse in a lot of areas, because that just means that monetarily people don't have the funds to pay for the middleman. And I think that a lot of people have had the funds to pay for the middleman because of what happened in 2021, the stimulus that happened. And I think slowly but surely that is getting soaked up and sucked out by the rich, through crypto and through the stock market and so on and so forth. And I think that in time, once people become poor enough, that middleman's going to collapse. And when that collapse happens, the gig economy sees a real bear market. Expect the regular market to see a big bear market if that happens.
So the gig economy, actually, it's oversaturated with people in the gig economy, which is really bad right now.
Exactly.
You have instead of just logging into the app, you have to like pretty much reserve hours on like Uber and all these apps. So yeah, whatever. Like when I did Uber for a little while, they wanted us working a fucking day. They would have taken us 24 hours if they could. But now apparently there's just way too much of everything. Drivers.
Well, it's because it is getting oversaturated, and I think the more oversaturated it gets, that's the more the red flag that those areas are going to collapse.
Do you remember the Biden administration was talking about all these jobs they created?
Yeah,
most of them are gig economy jobs.
Yep.
Like, are you serious?
Well,
and they were those numbers too.
The layoffs that I think a lot of people are looking for, the Fed specifically is looking for to kind of see that slowdown in the economy, is likely to come from the gig economy. Who are most people working on the gig economy? A lot of them are the poorer class. And so I think like what it's going to do is it's going to force a lot of poorer people to end up homeless, and a lot of non-poor people, middle class, so on and so forth, to end up poorer. And then eventually you'll get that kind of bottom falls out from everything, and you'll see prices drop dramatically in that aspect. I think you need to see that gig economy to collapse first, and that's where you're going to see the job losses at. You're going to see job losses on the gig economy. That's what's supporting the economy right now. The gig economy goes or gets dropped, then you'll see the economy kind of fall through with it.
You're saying,
So what?
hold on, you're saying because people are going to stop spending?
99% of people are just going to be Uber drivers so they can make money.
No. So what I'm saying is that 99% of people who are Uber drivers are going to end up without a job. And then at that point, you've had enough job losses to the point to where the economy is probably taking a substantial hit with that.
A lot of people also
Spending will go down.
It's not like a side thing.
Yeah, but before Uber, what was there? There was taxis, right?
Yeah.
And so people that didn't have a car used taxis. All Uber and Lyft did was come in and middleman the economy, essentially. They're unnecessary, we'll say middleman type plays, aka gig economies. And I think again, once you see people start to lose enough money to the point to where they can barely afford to live, they will stop using those services. They'll find ways around them. They'll use the bus services. They'll use other ways and means to get to work. They'll ride their bike or whatever if they can do that, if it's close enough. And they'll avoid those overly expensive services, Uber Eats, DoorDash, and stuff like that. Those will be, in my opinion, the first ones to go. And then you'll see things like Uber and Lyft and everything else follow behind that. And when you see those kind of really do massive layoffs, aka not really hiring anybody, then you'll see the economy really take a substantial hit at that point.
Dude, I've heard of people Uber eating fucking Starbucks. Are you serious here? Like
$20 for a coffee, bro. $20 for a coffee.
Yo, you can't get any more lazier. Like, for Christ's sake. Holy shit. Uber eating a fucking Starbucks. Fucking coffee.
Think about how many resources it takes for that to go down. Like the amount of gas, transport, stick, just for to drink coffee, bro. Like, it's wasteful. It's disgusting.
People do it, man. I mean, again, like if you're able to pay double the amount for your food through Uber Eats and so on and so, I'd love to see their back end metrics and because I'm sure that they've lost sales massively on things like DoorDash and Uber Eats. And to be able to see that would really give me a good edge on the market and tell me kind of where we're at.
I specifically don't know them because I don't use them, Uber Eats or any of them, because I have friends that own restaurants that like they take way too much money. It's not really worth it. You know, the only app that I use is Slice because apparently they don't take anywhere near that. So like that one's cool. But like Uber Eats or DoorDash or any of that, I never use. I don't even understand why people use them. But then again, like I guess things are different everywhere else. I don't know. But over here, I always have the number of the Chinese place that you go. Even the Chinese place moved, like they closed down, they moved. I still know, like they have the same phone number, like all that shit. So like I don't know, like it's kind of weird.
I've heard
orders to all that shit.
I heard that Uber Eats takes 30% off the top. If you're a restaurant, they're taking 30% of it.
Yeah.
Which at the end of the day, if they're taking 30% just for managing the actual service of the application, then you also got to tip the driver, and they're raising the price of their food in order to cover
Exactly.
it. I think that they're just using Uber Eats as a form of advertising to make sure that people know they exist at least. But a lot of them end up biting into their own profit margins and destroy themselves by the time they can turn a profit.
Yeah, it's going to be the businesses that get hit a lot by it, but it's what you want to see is you want to see the consumer struggling to use those services, right? When you start to see the consumer struggling to use those services, and I think you're at a good point in the market where you're probably going to see a bottom fall out.
They're doing fine, though, right? I don't think. I haven't really heard
you just said they used to let you drive all day, every day if you wanted to. Now you have to reserve time.
Yeah, all right, that's different though. That just
broke people
driving.
Broke people aren't gonna stop being lazy. Somebody just said that. That's not a bad point.
No, it is a bad point. If you can't afford to pay your rent, and it comes down to you paying rent and making food at home, or you buy an Uber Eats and end up homeless the next month, I think people are gonna choose make food at home.
They're gonna scam. They're gonna scam harder.
Broke people also aren't getting any younger, so sooner or later they're gonna have to fucking like stop.
Yeah, people love to act like money is infinite for everybody, right? It's simply not. And I can tell you, like, people will get stretched to a certain point with their pocketbooks to where they will stop using the services. 100% they will. I mean, people cut out TV shows, channels, all kinds of stuff all the time to save money. Why would they not stop using Uber Eats and other services that are basically just middlemaning you? I mean, it would cost you $2 in gas to drive, and you're going to pay $20, $30 more for the meal. Like, people definitely think about that.
Did you not hear what's going on with these pay now, buy now, pay later fucking things?
Oh yeah,
they're getting obliterated.
Yeah, not only are they getting obliterated, but they also, at the same time that they're getting obliterated, they also added that you can get your McDonald's for pay.
I was about to say, why are we giving this shit to like random shit? Like your fucking $700 Xbox. Like, I don't know. There's some shit that you shouldn't put on fucking layaway. I don't.
It's because the economy's on life support, man. That's why.
They're getting obliterated. Nobody's paying them, and they're also fucking McDonald's on top of that. Like, what's wrong with them? Like, I don't know. At some point, I don't know who's really like stupid. Is the one that's
dead on dead.
Yeah, like, or is it the one that's actually using these fucking services at this point?
Well,
I'm just trying to figure it out here.
Yeah, but Nico, you got to keep in mind too. People that use those services will likely not pay them back and tell them to just have off.
I also know, like, and I don't use this for fucking crazy ass shit. You know, like I don't have it like rotating the entire year. I just sometimes I don't have cash for fucking nothing at the moment, and it's like, all right, whatever. And I don't want to sell crypto. I'm like, all right, I'll get money next week and I'll just pay it off. You know what I mean? I do it that way, but I actually just pay it off. I don't even fucking do the 4 payment shit.
But you know what it is, right? It's payday loans 2.0.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, yeah, maybe.
Without the payday loans.
Like, that's the thing. That's why I'm saying those also exist on top of that. People are taking, like, there's apps for that too. Like, I've never used one of those. I never will, because that's interest based. Like, they end up taking way too much money from you. You know,
It's
like it's just
it's a fucking trap. That's what it is.
Yeah, the payday loans are traps, but those exist. There's a couple of apps that are doing that too, like the size of Klarna and whatever. Like, people are double dipping this shit. Like, they'll sit there and they'll do the payday shit, like what Will was saying, and then to top it off, they'll go and buy something on Klarna. Like, bro, you're already losing 30% of your pay cut, and now you're gonna go and do a full payment. Like, what's going on over here,
bro? Real quick, the Telegram chat is pinned up to the top. Don't miss your opportunity. It's pinned at the bottom of the space, as well as if you just look up to the top. It's already 9:30. Happy Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow with another banger. Will, I think it's safe to say we are gonna head into some red zone, and I'm gonna be shorting. That's not a signal. Don't do that. Don't do what I do. I'm just gonna say it right now at 9:23 p.m. Wednesday, June 4th, and hopefully I print so I look like a giga trader.
So when are you gonna follow James? That's his name, James Wynn's Trades.
No, I'm not an idiot. Not an idiot. But yeah, no, thank you guys for pulling up today. It was really good. It was a vibe, and best clips of this space get some prizes for me. I'm paying for clippers and shit like that. If I can get fast turnarounds and nice clips, I'm paying out. So definitely, you know, what spaces, video clips, whatever. But yeah, Will, any advice, any parting words?
Yeah, I'd urge people to be patient, man. Just, you know, I really think we got till Q4. It's a patient scenario here. You know, Frank even agreed with that. I think, like, right now, you have time. Don't panic. Don't chase people's shit on the timeline. Buy what you think is good. Hold on to it. And just wait for that Q4. I really think we're gonna get the blow off around that time. If I end up wrong, then hey, maybe next year ends up being profitable, and I'm wrong on the Q4, right? But at the end of the day, I think like now is the time to kind of dial in, sit back, and not try and chase shit. It is not that place to chase stuff right now. When you get into PvE mode, chase. But right now we're still in PvP. So chop city. Also be careful about leverage. Definitely don't be leveraging on the tops and the bottoms, aka support and resistance.
Yep. If you're a collector of any sort and you don't have a BZ account, make sure you create an account and go check out what's going on over there. I think it's pretty dope. All the new stuff, shipping week after week. The product team founders just continue to ship. I think it's pretty impressive. Seeing as where we are current market, there's vibes there, there's fun there. But yeah, I pinned it to the bottom if you haven't created an account yet. But thank you guys again. I hope everybody has a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace. Peace out.